Welcome back to another episode of the Top Attorneys of North America podcast. Today, we are honored to have with us attorney Joel Salinger, founder of the law office of Joel Salinger, PC, in the Commack, Long Island, New York area. In a legal career spanning nearly 3 decades, Joel has built a practice devoted to criminal defense, family law, and traffic DWI cases. We'll talk about what inspired him, how his journey shaped his approach to law, and what he sees for the future. Welcome, Joel. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I always start my podcast, sir, with what inspires an individual to become an attorney. And I know that you have a very unique beginning. And in fact, when I discussed in my family, I have electricians, I have attorneys. And when I was telling them your story, how you started in your family's business as an electrician and then later decided to go into law, the electricians in my family said, yeah, I could see that. And the attorneys said to me, what is he, crazy? So can you tell me how that transition happened? How old were you when you decided to make that change? Walk us through from the beginning.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, law was my direction all along, but I took a couple of detours. And my family had a small but successful electrical contracting company. My father had started right around the time I was born. My brother always wanted to be an electrician. I never wanted to be an electrician. But, you start going to work with dad as a kid and you learn the skills and you master the skills. So when I was home, I was working full time. When I wasn't doing other things, I was working full time. So it ended up where when I left school and I was just shy of completing my degree, um, my dad said, "Come back to work." And I did. And I did that for quite a long time. And then I was dating this woman who made me an offer because I kept talking about wanting to go to law school, wanting to go to law school, wanting to go to law school. And she said, "Why don't you just finish it already?" So I finished my bachelor's degree. And then she looked at me because we had been dating for roughly 5.5 years. And it was time to do something, either get my electrician's license because I was working in the family business, so I didn't need my own license. My father and my brother were both licensed, and the employees are not licensed in the practice in the business. It's the bosses. So she looked at me. She says, "Do something." And I had been right around the time I was going to ask her to marry me. So I finished the bachelor's degree, and I said, okay. And I took the LSAT and I started putting together what I needed. And I also started taking code courses in order to be able to sit for the electrician's master's license. But right around the time I was going to take the license, 3 different law schools accepted me. And I said, screw it. My girlfriend said she would support me. So I was able to go full time. We got married, we got engaged, and then we got married because of my mom's illness. We got married in the middle of my first semester of law school, and our honeymoon wasn't until the spring, until the break between first semester and second semester, and that was 1994.
Mm.
So, but I always wanted to be a lawyer because you asked me what got me there. I can argue with anybody. My brother used to call me the kamikaze arguer because I wouldn't give up until I went down in flames or crashed and burned. So it was almost a natural fit. It was just arguing, and arguing a point was always, it's not just arguing for argument's sake. because that's just stupid. I've
Hmm.
been there too, but that's just stupid. So I get to argue for my clients, and it feels really good.
When you first made that transition, did you have a specific vision of what kind of law you wanted to practice?
Yes, I wanted to be a criminal lawyer, and I really wanted to go into the district attorney's office.
You shifted from a hands-on trade profession into law. Do you feel that your background, your blue collar background, gives you a unique connection with clients or a leg up on your opponents as well?
I have to tell you that that's my biggest thing. I When people walk in here, I know where they're coming from. I didn't go straight from high school to college to law school, parents having been professional. Well, I don't consider anybody in the trades not to be a professional. They're professionals. I'm talking about somebody who sits in an office. A lot of the people I know who are lawyers, their parents were professionals. Their parents were college grads. Mine weren't. Their parents were, office people, or they had professional degrees. Mine didn't. Mine were very, very educated. You wouldn't believe how my father could have been an incredible lawyer. It just, he was never the one for the school. Um, but I can connect with people because I came from the same place. I find that to be an amazing connection and a leg up. I like talking to people that are tradespeople that actually work with their hands, that know which end of a screwdriver to use.
Yes, sir. And you keep mentioning your father, and I hear the way that you speak about him. Was he a mentor? Did he make a significant impact on who you are today, or did you have anyone that did shape your role as an attorney?
My role as an attorney was someone else, but the kind of man I am and the way I treat people, that was my dad. My
Yes,
dad.
sir.
That was my dad had ways that he dealt with the employees. There was ways he dealt with customers. Um, Always respect. As long as he was receiving respect, it was always respect in the opposite direction. Always treating the employees like they were part of the team, not just someone there to do a job and to leave. And I am very serious about treating my people that way and making sure that they feel needed, they feel wanted, they feel like they're making an absolute contribution. Um, and that all comes from my dad. You know, he taught me that being he taught me how to be a professional. It's that simple.
Yes, sir.
And as
Very
for
nice.
and as for a mentor in law, there were two or three attorneys that when I came out of law school and went out on my own, that took me under their wing and taught me. I'm not here without a few other attorneys that literally pushed me in this direction. They taught me how to do what I do and what to do, and I still go to them on a regular basis.
Which type of cases do you find the most personally rewarding, and why?
I don't think there's a particular area of the law in what I do, criminal defense, divorce, and family law. I don't believe I can't say that there's one that's more rewarding than the other. It's how I help the people. It's what the outcome is, and do I feel like I made a difference? Did I do it? Did I do the right job for the person? Did I make their situation easier? Or did I get them an outcome that they can live with that is long-term beneficial? It's that simple. Law can be very impersonal. Law can be very scary for people. I try to take the fear out of it, and I try to make it more personal so that they believe that I actually And when I say believe, I don't mean I'm trying to convince them of something that's fake. I want them to understand that I really do care about their case and what's going on. Um, I don't find that to be the primary thing in law with a lot of people, but that's the way my practice is.
Yes, sir. And these are emotionally charged cases, divorce, criminal. That being said, how do you balance rigorous legal advocacy with that compassion and empathy?
The problem is the balance. The balance is the hardest part. The way I balance it is I am straightforward. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't tell them what they want to hear to this is something I say on a regular basis. I don't tell somebody what they want to hear so they'll hire me. As a matter of fact, I have lost a lot of people, potential clients who have walked out their door because I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that I was going to be able to get them their children back in, just the next couple of weeks. I got to tell them, you're probably not getting your kids back for 6 months or more until you get yourself cleaned up. They want to know that I'm going to be able to save the house. They want to know that I'm going to be able to run roughshod over their spouse in the divorce. They're going to want to know that I'm going to be able to get the charges completely dismissed and clean their record completely. Probably not. But I am going to get you a deal that's going to be able to let you go on with your life without having to um, pay for it every day in a criminal situation. I'm going to be able to get you a situation where you're going to be able to be at your children's wedding and not have to stand on the other side of the room while your spouse keeps on shooting lightning bolts at you. Um, I try to make sure that they can find a way to live with the decisions they're making and the circumstances that are happening. I can't fix everything, but I can try and make them so that they can go on with their lives and hopefully be happy.
Yes, sir.
That's what I try to do, and that's where the balance comes from.
Sounds pretty stressful to me.
You know what? It's
More so than an
stressful,
electrician.
much more, but it's less stressful than if I was trying to convince them of something that I can't do.
Yeah, false promises. Understood. What keeps you motivated and grounded after all of these years?
Smiles. People that will thank me when they walk out of the courthouse saying, "You did everything you possibly could. Thank you." Um, I had a case just the other day where my client was falsely accused on a violation of an order of protection. I was able to demonstrate to the district attorney's office that not only was it false, but we did it without a trial. Doesn't happen that often. But I was able to show them, and they interviewed the witnesses prior to anything. And the next thing I know, it's being dismissed in open court. Smiles, um, understanding. They walk out of my office understanding the position they're in and knowing that there's a possibility they're going to come out of it in one piece.
Yes, sir.
Those are the situations that keep me motivated to keep doing this.
Yes. And again, I know that you've been practicing for some time. You've seen the evolution of law, society. Um, I see it myself. The billboard attorneys, you go on social media, everything is there. What do you see as the biggest challenges facing attorneys like you, individuals and that are solo firm practitioners?
Well, number one, um, when it comes to divorce, people do not have reasonable expectations. And it's my job to give them reasonable expectations. When it comes to family law, The system makes them believe that they can walk into a courtroom on their own and handle their own case. That's kind of like saying, here's a scalpel, you have a hot appendix, take it out, we'll come back and just check your stitches. Law is not, and by the way, this is the lawyers that created this, but law is not something you should be doing on your own any more than you should be diagnosing your own illnesses or doing your own surgery. Because it can have the same impact on your life. Another problem is in criminal law, the system has gotten to the point where they give out assigned counsel like it's water. You either get a legal aid attorney or an 18B, which is assigned counsel, very quickly in our system, because the system doesn't want to deal with people representing themselves. Now, there are a lot of people that need those services, and those don't understand that I am not putting down legal aid attorneys or 18B attorneys. And I'll be very honest with you. I'm on the 18B panel in criminal. Okay, which 18B panel is when the Legal Aid Society has a conflict of interest. 18B attorneys, which are private attorneys paid for by the county, have to step in and do the job. Okay, conflict of interest bars a particular law firm, which the Legal Aid Society is considered to be one law firm. It bars them from representing a particular client if they have any kind of a conflict of interest. So an 18B, and some of the best attorneys I know are 18B attorneys and Legal Aid Society. But society as a whole shouldn't be paying for everybody's lawyer. And there are a lot of people that they think that lawyers should be free. And then they think that, they'll come to me, they'll get a price, they'll run to another lawyer, that lawyer will give them a lower price. The next thing I know, several months later, I'm getting a call, that guy screwed it up, can you fix this? It's like, no. You went to him, he did the job. Unless you're going to start an appeal, and it doesn't sound to me like you have any grounds for appeal, lawyers have particular skill sets, and knowing how to deal with the DA's office, knowing how to deal with opposing counsel on divorces, the attorneys for the children on divorces and family court cases, takes a lot. Even traffic cases, traffic cases, I had somebody just the other day who called me up because they did something they shouldn't have done, and now they're hoping I can fix it. Now, I was able to fix it in this situation because they hadn't gotten too far into it, but they were going to lose their license on Long Island. Good luck getting around if you lose your license.
That's right. Everything's 15 minutes away.
You're not getting any place. They've just changed all the rules about, well, they started changing them in 2012. They've just changed them again. They've changed the point systems on traffic violations. They've added points all over the place. What used to not have any points now has points. If you have 11 points, you're getting suspended. If you have 12 or more, you're getting revoked. And enough revocations or DWIs and serious driving offenses, what they call SDOs, you lose your license for life. And you don't get it back. They're now suspending people for 5, 10, and 15 years. It's not just the 6-month suspension anymore. So lawyers do have a place in this system, and it's a matter of how you handle it.
Yeah, you obviously have some pretty strong viewpoints about 18B legal aid attorneys. How do you think access to legal services should be improved?
Oh, they need to do a much better job screening the people that are incoming. Look, at one point, judges were giving them, they didn't have a screening system, and it was up to the judge, and the judge was appointing them like crazy. Then the state decided, because the funds are just not there for everybody to get a lawyer, they started a screening system. But the screening system still relies on many times where the people just walk in and tell them what their income is. 6 years ago, I was doing a case, and it was the last case of the day. I got assigned to this guy. I got him out of jail, and I was done. So we were walking out. He was picked up in a Mercedes Maybach, which is about a $250,000 Mercedes Benz. I was assigned to him as his 18B attorney. There has to be a better system on screening people to make sure that they actually are indigent, so that they deserve having society pay for their. And I'm not saying they shouldn't. There are people out there that are falling through the cracks. I do some pro bono work through Long Island Legal Services because people fall through the cracks. And there's no way they're ever going to be able to afford an attorney. But they get screened before they ever get to me.
Right.
Through the Bar Association, through Long Island Legal Services, used to be known as Nassau Suffolk Legal Services, through through the law school that has a clinic program that has attorneys that they use. They get screened, they get looked at, they get vetted to make sure that they deserve having help. Then I'm more than willing to jump in. Absolutely. I don't want to see people fall through the cracks. I don't want to see people that our system just throws away. That's horrible to me.
Right.
People
But
shouldn't be.
but driving a $250,000 car and still getting legal aid or free legal counsel, it just doesn't seem fair.
No, I would say that's absolutely true.
And you did mention earlier that you did have individuals, mentors that helped to shape your career. What advice would you give to younger attorneys just starting out, especially those who might come from non-traditional backgrounds like you did?
First, clinics, um, internships, um, volunteering with programs. Go to the Bar Association, get involved. They have things for students. They have continuing education programs that are taught for practitioners, but that students can get out of it. Learn, volunteer, go and look at multiple different areas of the law. Go and do some work in a real estate office. Go and do some work. Find a criminal defense law office. Volunteer at the district attorney's office. Go and volunteer. Go and intern in a matrimonial law office. Go to court and sit in the courtrooms. They're public spaces. They're required to allow you to go there. They're open courtrooms. They're public. And listen. Listen. You can't ask questions when court is in session, but I'll guarantee you there are attorneys and court officers, clerks, and judges that will answer your question when court is not in session. When you finally get admitted to the bar, find attorneys CLEs, bar associations. There's the Suffolk County Matrimonial Bar Association. There's the Suffolk County Criminal Bar Association. There's the Suffolk County Bar Association, which is an amazing organization. There's the New York State Bar Association. There's an amazing organization. I'm also a member of the New York State Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. I'm a member of the New York State Defenders Association. There are ways to get information and find people that would love to talk to you, give you a. There is one person who I can't, because of his position now, I can't tell you who he was. But when I first started out, I had a case that was about to go to trial. I'd never tried one of those cases before. I had a lot of experience plea bargaining them, but I'd never tried one. So I call him up and I said, listen, I've got this potential trial coming up. What do I do? He says, "What are you doing this afternoon?" I said, "I got paperwork." He says, "I'm sitting waiting for a jury to come back. And I don't think they're coming back this afternoon, but I can guarantee you I have to stay in the courthouse. Grab your file, meet me, we'll sit in the hallway and I'll go over your file with you." He spent 2.5 hours going through my file with me so that I was prepared on my case, which I won, by the way. But the point is, there are attorneys out there that will give of themselves. You need to find the ones you can trust, but they're out there. And I got news for you. I still go to the same people. I go to others, but I'm 63 years old and I almost 63, I should say. And I still go to the same people. I don't think it's appropriate to mention their names at the moment, but these are great people. And there's Suffolk and Nassau County practitioners.
Are you passing any of this knowledge along yourself, Joel? Do you have younger guys coming to you as well?
Constantly. Constantly. I will sit in the courthouse. Look, there's an enormous amount of downtime. Yes, you're running from courtroom to courtroom, but then you're sitting there waiting for a case to be called. And I get asked questions. What would you do with this? What would you do with that? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Did you write a motion on this? Could I have a copy of it? Constantly, we're always sharing. That's one of the natures of this profession. Yes, there are some that won't, but for the most part, there are a lot of very good attorneys that will give of themselves without even blinking.
Very nice. Uh, you've seen attorneys at every stage of their career. What mistakes have you seen newer attorneys make, and how can they avoid them?
Not asking questions, not doing the research, not being prepared. Walking in and think you can just wing it. Walking in and trying to fake it. Taking on areas of the law that you shouldn't be taking on without having somebody kind of looking over your shoulder and making sure that you're not blowing things up. Look, we're all going to make mistakes. And I don't care how experienced you are. Clarence Darrow made mistakes. Okay. Um, we're all going to make mistakes. But remember, those mistakes affect people. Don't make a mistake by ignoring something or blowing away or procrastinating or making or giving advice that you're not sure about. I can't tell you how many times I get asked a question and I will turn around and say, "You know what?" And it's in my area of the law. "You know what? I don't know, but I'll find out." And I'll make phone calls and I'll call those people that I'm talking about or others. And I will say, "What do you think of this? What would you do?" Did it just the other day, Friday, as a matter of fact, and was able to give somebody the advice that day that I now got retained on. But I couldn't have done it if I hadn't called somebody and made sure I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, people can pick up usually when you're BSing them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Or they hire you and now you have a grievance or a malpractice.
Looking ahead, what do you hope your legacy will be? I mean, for your clients, yourself, maybe the Long Island legal community more broadly.
For the clients, I just want them to know that I gave it my best and that my only consideration was them. It wasn't the dollar signs. It wasn't it wasn't my reputation in the courthouse. It was their case. In the legal community, I would like to be known, especially in the courthouse, I'd like to be known as someone who was willing to look. I know I'm changing it, but something that I had a client who got mad at me because I was joking around with opposing counsel in the hallway. And I had to explain to them that when I walk through that courtroom door, they're my adversary. 100%. They're not my friend. At that moment, they're not my enemy, but they're my adversary. They're not my enemy. They're never my enemy, but they're my adversary. They're the opposition. And I'm doing everything I can to think my way past their position. But when we walk into the hallway, we're colleagues, sometimes friends. I've gone against people that I have gone against people at trial that we go out to dinner on a regular basis. But when we walk into that courtroom, they're not my friend, they're not my buddy, they're my adversary. And my job is to beat them
Yeah,
or
game
at
on.
least get the best result possible for my client. Look, people need to understand something. Trials are not the be all and end all. Very few things go to trial, and you want to avoid a trial at all costs because you're leaving the entire decision to that person in the black robe up front. And you don't know what kind of a night they had the night before, what kind of a morning they've had, what other cases they've had in front of them, what their opinion of the subject matter that's being put in front of them. What, did they take a disliking to you? Did they take a liking to you? You're always better off coming to a negotiated settlement, but when trials have to happen, you have to do them right.
Yes, sir. And I enjoy listening to you. I could hear the tenacity. I could hear the passion. You said it yourself, 62 years old, going on 63. You can't take this home with you. How do you balance your work, your home relationship?
I'm not always the best at it. I have a wife who's amazing. Okay, we've been together for 30. Actually, tomorrow is when it is the anniversary of when I met my wife, so it's 39 years.
Oh, congratulations.
We're married for 31, and um, my wife keeps me balanced. I'm also a Boy Scout leader or Scout leader. I can't say Boy Scout anymore. Scout leader, Scouting America. Um, the youth keep me young. Um, Great program. Um, and I like what I do, and I like what I do enough that I can put anything that is negative out there, and I can keep myself going. Look, I can tell you there are mornings where it's like, oh God. And then there are most mornings where it's like, let's get them.
Yes, sir.
It's
I
the
could
absolute
definitely hear
truth.
it.
The absolute
Yeah.
truth. So
I I could tell that you enjoy doing it. I
I
can tell.
do. I really do.
Excellent. And finally, for anyone looking to contact you, whether it's a younger attorney, a potential client, what's the best phone number and a website if you have one?
The phone number is 631-486-7800. The website is joelsalingerlaw.com. And I'm going to put out my email address is salingerlaw@optimum.net.
Excellent. And I'm sure you make yourself available all the time for your clients.
I get calls on holidays. I get calls on vacation. I get calls at 1 in the morning from the precinct. Um, what do I do? It's I get calls all the time. I get calls on Saturdays and Sundays. I try to answer as many calls as possible. My paralegal, Melody, who's been with me for 16 years, answers the phones as well. And it's about availability. They're calling me when things are bad, so that's when they need me the most. If I put it off, what exactly am I doing for them?
Yes. Joel, I want to thank you very much for sharing your journey, insights, your advice. It's been a privilege hearing how your background and values shaped your legal career, how you continue to work and serve your clients after nearly 3 decades. For our listeners, if you are looking for legal support in criminal defense, family law, divorce, or related matters on Long Island, you know where to turn. Thank you again, Joel.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and have a happy holiday.
Thank you for listening to the Top Attorneys podcast. The Top Attorneys celebrates the achievements of leading attorneys across the nation. To be featured, send a message or visit www.topattorneys.us.